Big Bear?
Hello everybody, this is Ben. I'm once again inside my house and I'm here to record a bit of a different type of video today for you guys. In the past we've only really done vlogs, but with my winter break opening up I had time to compile a list of rides that we're going to ride in our upcoming trip to California, and rank them all on a kind of a hype list, or basically an anticipation ranking of how excited I am to ride all of these new things. So we're going to Six Flags Magic Mountain and Knott's Berry Farm in the LA area. So I guess before I start with the list, feel free to give any feedback or thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you would like to see more videos like this. I know Izach and Chase are also making their own rankings and will post to them themselves. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the list. So first of all, the worst or least anticipated, let's go least anticipated ride for my California trip is probably Coast Rider at Knott's Berry Farm, not to be confused with Ghost Rider, which we'll see much later. But Coast Rider, it has no fans from what I know. It's a mock rise wild mouse, so there's nothing too crazy going on. And actually, even worse, it's the only one or one of the few ones with shin guards. And allegedly, these are really, really bad. Obviously, I haven't ridden it, so I can't say for sure. But I'm not too excited to ride it, just because it probably won't be that fun, honestly. That was number 41. So, longer list, but I'll try and get through it. Number 40 is the Circuit Breaker Grand Prix at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It's an upcharge, but second of all, it's kind of generic as far as go-karts go. Like it doesn't, aside from the go-karts being electric, that's cool, but the track is basic, and the karts probably don't go super fast. It's more just a thing we're going to check off in order to 100% the parks on a Log Ride, our app that we use to track these things. So next is Speedy Gonzales Hot Rod Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It is a Zamperla, and here at Big Bear Bros, we've made our feelings very clear about Zamperla. So I don't think I need to say much more about that. It is a gravity coaster, so it's one of their kids' coasters. And these are not great, honestly. They're just kids' coasters, get the credit and forget, as we say in the Thuzy community. Next up is Pony Express at Knott's Berry Farm. Similar boat as Speedy Gonzales. It's another Zamperla. This time it's a moto coaster, which is you kind of you sit in a motorbike, like leaned over a motorbike. It's really weird to explain. Hopefully I'll be able to show a picture on screen. But it's said to be not great, and I haven't really ridden anything similar to compare it to, so I just kind of don't know much about this ride, honestly. So at 37, we have Roadrunner Express, which is a Vekoma Jr. coaster. And it's this low in the kids' coasters because we rode a similar ride called Roller Skater at Kentucky Kingdom, and it was pretty mid. It was a little rough. The layout wasn't that great, so there's not really much to be excited about there. Just another credit. 36 is Magic Flyer. So this ride is actually interesting. It was created in 1946 and was relocated to Magic Mountain when Magic Mountain opened. It is a Bradley and Kay Little Dipper, which is, I've never heard of that ride model in my life. And unfortunately, we might not be able to ride this due to our lack of having a small child with us. But if we can't, boohoo, so sad, and we miss the credit. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to mention it because I think it's pretty interesting regardless of whether or not we actually get to ride it. 35 is Canyon Blaster, which is an E&F Miler kids coaster, and you may have seen a few of these, depending on whether or not we release Kings Island before this video comes out. It probably won't happen though. But E&F Miler kids coasters are really, really fun. They have very unique forces and some really interesting profiling and design behind them, and they're one of my favorite brands of kids coasters. 34 is Jaguar at Knott's Berry Farm. This is a Zero Tivoli, and it's above Canyon Blaster mostly because it's probably going to have a little bit more to it than Canyon Blaster. And despite my favoritism of E&F Miler, they build very small rides, and Jaguar is just a little bit bigger. So should be interesting. I know the ride takes place relatively high above Knott's, like above the midways, so it should be interesting to get a ride on. Number 33 is Gold Rusher, an Aero Mine Train, and here at the Big Bear Bros, We love our Aero Mine trains. So this will be no exception. This uses Magic Mountain's terrain pretty well. I think this is the first one on the list that I have ridden before. For those of you who don't know, I have been to Magic Mountain twice in the past. However, it was before I really became an enthusiast, so I didn't do everything. Just the real major coasters there that I could ride. So you'll see some of the rides at Magic Mountain on this list I have ridden and I want to get back on, and others I haven't ridden and want to get a chance to ride. So that's kind of my unique situation here. So next up is number 32, Snoopy's Tender Paw Twister. This is a Zamperla Lift and Launch kids coaster. It's the only one of its kind, and a brand new model that they unveiled last year at IAAPA, I believe, and Knott's bought the first one. So this is a kids coaster that has a tire-driven launch and a lift. So it should be pretty interesting. Could be good. Could not be great. And I'd like to take this moment to roast Zamperla, because the only Zamperla that Cedar Fair could open this year was Snoopy's Tender Paw Twister, a kid's coaster. Good job, Cedar Point. You cooked. Number 31 is Supreme Scream at Knott's Berry Farm. I haven't heard much about this. Isaac said it wasn't great. He hasn't been on it, but I guess he's heard more about it than I have. It's a turbo drop, so that means it only lifts you up slowly and then drops you. And I'm more of a fan of the drop towers from SNS that shoot you up and drop you, which I think I mentioned in Cedar Point Day 1, if you've watched that. So moving on to number 30 is Timber Mountain Log Ride at Knott's Berry Farm. Again, never been to Knott's. I don't know what this log ride's about. I know Knott's is known to be solid with theming, so this might have good theming. It is by Arrow, and we love Arrow. Especially their log flumes are pretty solid. I'm a big fan of Ellis Aradero at Six Flags Over Texas. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of their log flumes, and I'm excited to ride that. So keep staying with Arrow, but moving to the other park, we have number 29 Jetstream at Magic Mountain. This is not an Arrow log flume. It is an Arrow hydro flume. Now, I don't know what the difference is, but I know on Log Ride it's categorized as a rare model, so there's not very many of them, and this could be the only one, so it might be interesting. Who knows? Number 28 is Roaring Rapids, an Intamin Rapids ride. Intamin Rapids rides are very, very good usually. I may not end up riding this if it's too cold, because I don't like being cold and wet, so yeah. But Isaac will probably ride it because he doesn't really care. Next up is number 27, Calico River Rapids. This is another Intamin Rapids ride, and I'm not too informed about this ride. However, Knott's usually does well with anything Calico themed. You'll see another ride with the Calico theme much higher on this list. So I'm hoping that this follows the trend. And this is another one, since it's a Rapids ride, that I may not ride if it's too cold outside, because these Rapids rides can get you very, very wet. Alright, so moving on to number 26, we have Knott's Berry Tales at Knott's Berry Farm. This is kind of a funny pun. I don't really know anything about this ride. I know it is a ride, it's a dark ride, and it was made by Trio Tech. That's about it. But we'll see, we'll find out, and who knows, it might gain or lose spots when we do our post-trip ranking when we come back. Number 25 is Superman Escape from Krypton. This is the first major coaster on this list, and the reason why it's so low is because it's okay. I have ridden this before on my second visit to Magic Mountain in 2018, I think it was. This was the first coaster to break 100 miles per hour in speed. Its launch does get you up to that 100 miles an hour. And you zoom up a tower, 400 feet. You hit 400 feet-ish, and then drop back down. The ride's over. It sounds really insane. And then I actually did it, and it was like, meh. It was alright. I'm not too... The thing is, if we see it open, we will run to it because it's very unreliable. However, the ride experience itself is... it leaves a little to be desired. I'll say that. The other stratas that followed it, that meaning rides that broke the 400-foot mark, those rides were much better, in my opinion. Moving on to number 24, we have Riddler's Revenge, which is a B&M stand-up. It was, I think, the last or maybe the second to last B&M stand-up built in the 90s until Pipeline, the surf coaster, in 2022. I don't really know what to expect from this ride. I've never ridden one of these classic stand-ups. What I do know is that they are hit or miss. Some of them are really good, and some people really like them. Others are not a fan because of comfort. So we'll see where this one goes. This is another one of those ones that could be very mobile, should I like it or dislike it. Number 23 is Scream, also at Magic Mountain. This is another one of the coasters at Magic Mountain I have not been on because I was too small. I've heard mixed reviews about this ride. Floorlesses are generally okay. Kraken is not great, but I love Superman at Fiesta Texas. So I also don't like Rougarou at Cedar Point. So it's hit or miss. We'll find out. Another thing that this ride gets made fun of for a lot is its setting. They literally built it on a stretch of Magic Mountain's parking lot. So there's like literal parking spots underneath the coaster. It's very weird. So number 22 is a bit of a bigger coaster. We're starting to get bigger here. Is Goliath, also at Magic Mountain. This is the first of 2 Giovanola hypercoasters to open the Six Flags chain and to open, period. The other being Titan at Six Flags Over Texas. And Titan is alright. I feel like it kind of wastes the space and the money that Six Flags Over Texas put into it just because it doesn't really do a great job as a hypercoaster. Goliath is even worse because it is even less forceful than Titan. And it, again, serves as a hypercoaster, but not a very good one. So yeah, Giovanola mid, moving on. Number 21 is New Revolution. First of all, we at the Big Bro Bros love Schwarzkopf. They do some great things. This roller coaster had the first modern vertical loop, ever, and it's a good one. And I'd just like to put in that it is more forceful than Goliath, despite being under half Goliath size, believe it or not. Number 20 is Ninja. There's not really much to say here. I love aero suspended coasters personally. They're really awesome. The only downside to this one is it ends with a lift, which is not ideal, obviously. It's a bit of a buzzkill, but I'm willing to go through it because I think the rest of the ride is really good. It's a good terrain coaster. Number 19 is Calico Mine Ride at Knott's. This is an aero dark ride. I didn't even know they made dark rides before I started researching for this video, but apparently they do. This is a pretty well-known dark ride in the community, and like I said earlier, Knott's cooks with the Calico stuff, allegedly. Again, haven't been there, we'll find out. So staying at Knott's, number 18 is Sierra Sidewinder, which is a mock family spinner. However, some say it is not so family-oriented because apparently it really spins a lot. We'll see. It could end up being one of the most underrated coasters of the trip, or it could be underwhelming. We'll see. So moving on to number 17, Soul Spin at Knott's. This is this is a devious flat ride right here. This is a Mondial Ventura. Izach has been on one of these at Carowinds. I did not join him on it, but if we're going to try 100% these parks, which I think we will, then I have to. So we'll see. Should be really interesting. Whether or not I'll like it is yet to be determined. Number 16 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain. There's not really, like Ninja, there's not really much to say about this one. It's just your run-of-the-mill Batman the Ride clone that you find at a lot of Six Flags parks. It's got a good layout. The intensity is good. The only difference is, or there is no, the only question is whether or not this one will be rough. Some of them are not smooth anymore. Some of them are, so we'll see. Could be good, could be bad. Number 15 is Crazanity, a Zamperla Giga Discovery. As much as I have hated on Zamperla in this video already, and on the Big Bear Bros channel, we make fun of them a lot. They do cook with the Giga Discoveries. These are really big. They provide good forces and good views. So these are always fun to take a ride on. Number 14 is Silver Bullet at Knott's Berry Farm. This is a really weird B&M invert. It had a really unique design philosophy because Knott's needed to fit it in a small space, so it goes over pathways and has some weird things, like its first drop. Its first drop is notoriously bad because it has, I believe it's 45-degree angle of descent, which is like you could walk down a 45-degree slope. So it's not too great, but I'm excited to ride it. New coaster. Who knows? Maybe it surprises me. Number 13 is Apocalypse. This is a GCI wooden coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I did not get to ride this when I was last there. I forgot. We either didn't go to that part of the park, it was closed, or I just didn't ride it because it was a wooden coaster. I hated wooden coasters at the time. If this and Ghost Rider are really good, then I'm officially a huge fan of GCI and their work. Moving on to number 12, we've got Viper, which is the last Aero Mega Looper, which is a model that was relatively short-lived in the 90s. It's really big, really fast, has a lot of inversions, and they have all been removed except for Viper. So Viper is the last one. I've never been on an Aero Mega Looper. This could be mediocre, or it could be really awesome. We'll see. Number 11 is West Coast Racers, the only dueling Mobius loop coaster at Magic Mountain, because Twisted Colossus struggles with that, we'll say. It has comfort collars, unfortunately, but I think it'll be pretty fun. I like Premier Launch coasters. They generally do a pretty good job. And I'm excited to get the Mobius loop racing aspect in there, too. So entering our top 10 is Hang Time at Knott's. I've heard from different sources online that this is rough, and some say it's smooth. But it does have lap bars, so even if it doesn't track the best, it should still be comfortable. This has a really awesome beyond vertical drop and some good inversions too, hopefully. So, yeah, this could be one of the best Gerstlauers that I've been on. Number 9 is Tatsu. This is my favorite flying coaster ever. It's a B&M Flyer. It has a really great setting on the very top of Magic Mountain's mountain. The pretzel loop is unbelievably intense, ridiculous G-forces, and diving towards the ground head first is always fun. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get back on Tatsu because I've been to a few more places that had these flying coasters like Tatsu, and I want to be able to get a more recent opinion to compare it with the ones that I've been on since I was last at Magic Mountain. Moving on to number 8 is Wonder Woman Flight of Courage at Magic Mountain. This one is really high because I have been waiting for a long time to try the large-scale Raptor model. I've always been one of the few who thinks that the original model is a little bit too compact, especially when it was rougher. I'm talking about Wonder Woman at Fiesta Texas. When it was rough, it was just too fast. It wasn't fun. The capacity was awful. The large-scale Raptor fixes a lot of these problems, I think, by being a little bit more drawn out. That being said, people do say it's less forceful, so we'll see if I find that as much of a problem as others. But I'm really excited to finally get on the other RMC Raptor model. Number 7 is Lex Luthor Drop of Doom. It is an Intamin giant drop. Well, first of all, it's a huge drop tower. It's on the side of Superman, so it's about 400 feet tall, which is nothing to scoff at. That's pretty tall. It is an Intamin giant drop 8 tower, which there were only 2 of these built, one of them being Lex Luthor, the other being Zumanjar Drop of Doom, which is now closed. There's one more in Australia. This one and the one in Australia are the only ones left of this model, and I'm really excited to try it because I think it's going to be really, really good. Intamin does a good job with their drop towers. Alright, number 6 is Full Throttle at Magic Mountain. This is a very well-rounded coaster. It has fun launches, both forwards and backwards. It is the only Premier Skyrocket 3 to ever be built. It has double-sided track, that being the loop-de-loop and airtime hill. And the worst part about it is undoubtedly the brakes on the drop. And yeah, I just said that. The only big drop on the entire ride has brakes on it, believe it or not. But yeah, it's very silly, but the rest of the ride is absolutely amazing, so I can't really knock it too much. Kicking off our top 5 is Dive Devil. And this is only this high up because it's a Skyfun 1 sky coaster, and these things are terrifying. They're the things you sit, or you're not sit, you lay in like a harness, and you're winched up to the top of a tower, and then you drop and swing back and forth. And these things are insane. The free falling sensation after you pull the cord and release yourself is unmatched. It was really, really amazing at Six Flags Over Texas, and I'm excited to hopefully do another one with Izach at Magic Mountain. Number 4 is none other than Twisted Colossus. I have been on this before when I was younger, and I think it's a very, very good ride. This is the other Mobius Loop dueling coaster. Well, I shouldn't say dueling because it rarely ever duels anymore. But this is the other Mobius Loop coaster at Magic Mountain. RMC, like usual, cooked. Izach will disagree with me, but RMC cooked. One of my favorite moments from this ride is called the Top Gun stall, and because Twisted Colossus is dueling, you have a train taking an airtime hill, and then another train doing a zero-G stall on top of it. So I should be able to throw up a picture or two of that moment, but it's really, really awesome. It's one of my favorite moments on a coaster. It's one of my dad's favorite moments on a coaster. So I'm super excited to get more rides on Twisted Colossus because it's an amazing ride. So for the bronze medal, we have Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm. And this ride, man, so for those of you who know me, I've been on Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, which is unfortunately no longer around. Top Thrill Dragster was an Intamin hydraulic launch coaster that ascended to a height of 400 feet. This hydraulic launch technology at the time was the only system powerful enough to get a train up to the speeds required to launch it over a 400-foot tower. However, that started a little bit earlier with Accelerator. It is an Intamin hydraulic launch coaster, but this one only gets up to about 200 feet, so it's not nearly as tall. However, these hydraulic launches are powerful. The train kicks you in the back. Like, it feels like a kick, and you just go. It's unbelievable. It's the only, like, coaster thing that I'm still scared of to this day. The hydraulic launch. It's ridiculous. There's no other way to describe it. You just have to ride one to feel the insanity, honestly. However, aside from that glorious launch, the rest of the ride is really just okay. That's why it's not higher on this list. It just kind of curves around and then hits the brakes, but that launch is sure to be a huge adrenaline rush and very fun. So, with the silver medal, we have Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. And so, not to be mistaken with Coast Rider, which was the worst coaster on this list, we now have Ghost Rider, which is a wooden coaster that was built by CCI in the early 2000s. And then in 2016, Knott's Berry Farm called in GCI to retrack the ride and give it new trains. So it has the GCI tracking, which is very good and very smooth, and a CCI layout, which CCI layouts are very, very good. So this wooden coaster is a bit of a Frankenstein, but in the best way possible. I've heard it's really, really amazing. I'm very excited to ride it, and it could be a potential top 15, top 20 coaster, and it may turn me into an official GCI fan. So now, the moment you've all been waiting for, number 1, is none other than Magic Mover at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This is a Cornerberg shipbuilding company. I was just messing with y'all. Number 1 is none other than X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This ride is the most demented coaster I've ever been on, frankly. It is an Aero 4th Dimension coaster, and this cost so much money and so much time that it actually was the coaster that bankrupted Aero. It was the last coaster that they ever built, and they went out with a bang. This ride is ridiculous. I rode this when I was 9, and got destroyed, literally. Like, it's not the most comfortable ride ever. Yeah, my dad hates it because it hurt, and when I left the park, I hated it because it hurt. Now, I'm really just interested because I want to get back and ride it again. I think I can see through the pain to appreciate the unbelievable ride that lies beneath all the shakiness. So yeah, that's my list. We are leaving for California. This was recorded on December 22nd of 2024. We leave for California on January 2nd or maybe New Year's Day. It might be January 1st. One of the two. We leave for California around New Year's, and we're going to spend 2 days at Magic Mountain and 2 days at Knott's Berry Farm. I'm super excited to go back to Magic Mountain and to see Knott's for the first time. And this list was just a good way to kind of organize what I'm expecting from all of the things we're going to do. So that being said, if you've watched this video from start to finish, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't yap too much. Like I said at the start, there will be 2 more of these coming out from Izach's rankings and Chase's rankings respectively, hopefully soon. And if you liked this type of video and you'd like to see me do more rankings, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I would love to give more of my opinions in a less chaotic setting than the vlogs. So yeah, that's it for me.